Okay, welcome everybody. My name's George Stato. I'm the president of the CCBA. For those of you who don't know me, welcome. Thank you for coming. Just a little bit brief. CCBA, we're 600 members. We have members actually all over the world. Honestly, we just had somebody join from Australia, you know, who joined, and they joined the club because of the conference. So they said, "Oh, that's cool. I need to join this club because of the conference." So we have members all over the place, but surely most of the members are Chester and Delaware County, and we have our monthly meeting, and that's what you're at today. The goal of the CCBA is two things. One is education, right? We're here to teach you. We're trying to make the meetings more educational to make sure that you come and you learn something at the meetings. Donna's been and Lynn has been great for that. The other part of the CCBA is having fun and being social, right? To get to know each other and to learn about the other beekeepers and what they're doing. So that's a piece of it. That's more important than to me, honestly, because why be here if you're not having fun? So welcome and thanks for coming. I get my 10 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. For those of you who have been here for a long time, we realize the president sometimes will talk for hours at the meeting. So now they've made the president get 10 minutes. So I will go over it by a little bit. Um, a little bit of thank you first. I mean, those of you who have been sort of following along, participating in the last month, we had a lot of stuff going on. Charlie and Brooke, Charlie's here. I don't see Brooke. Charlie, raise your hand. Charlie and Brooke are the Queen Team people, and they help repopulate the apiary. And everyone who brought frames, thank you. Charlie and Brooke, thank you. Sheena and the plant committee. Some of the plant committees here. We have Carla. We have Peter in the back. Who else is plant committee? Oh, Paul. Sorry about that, Paul. I see Paul there. Thursday, we seed plants every Thursday in the morning from 10 to noon. We're wrapping up this year. Thank you for the plant committee. Mark and Tim. Mark's here. Tim's not here. They run the beginners course. Hugely important for the club to train new beekeepers. Thank you. Carissa and Yasmin. Is Carissa here? Not yet. They write the. If you have you raise your hand if you read the newsletter this month. Not too many people. It's worth the read, honestly. So if you don't open the monthly newsletter, please do. It's really again educational. For those of you who don't make it to the end of the newsletter, you should because Vijay, if you need to read that every month, it's amazing education. Her part at the end of the newsletter on something nature related, really good. So thank you to the Carissa and Yasmin. B chat, Donna's here. Where's Donna? Donna's there. Donna, Diane's not here. Ed's not here. Merle's not here. But there's a B chat team that makes B chat happen every Friday. And then we're gonna hear a little bit from Mark today. Damon and Mark, and some other people who I'm blanking. If anybody's here, Beth, Monica. Yes, Monica. Tim, and who's the other? Jeff Klein. There's like 5 or 6 people who do the community engagement thing, and they do tens of talks every month to the community about bees and education. So, and representing the CCBA. So again, just a little bit of thank you to start the meeting. I'm sure there's people who have also helped out in the last month who are not up here. I apologize, but I got 10 minutes. Next. I did mention Monica, didn't I? Monica High Pop. She's going to talk about High Pop. Okay. Everything the CCBA does need volunteers. Okay. I know you hear this a lot. I'm preaching to the 10%. But if you give this much, it becomes this much. It really does. So, even if you give by showing up, like the people that show up to this meeting matter, honestly, right? They really do. If I stood here and talked to 3 people, it'd be cool, but it'd only have so much impact. So thank you for showing up. What do you need to show up to this month, right? In the next month, showing up's the leeway. Like show up. Here's cool. Hi Pop. Monica's gonna. I'll give you some. Is Monica on the schedule? Don't look at your watch. I see you looking at your watch. But look at this. Look at this. Charter bus, right? Charter bus. That means you get on a bus at the beginning of the High Pop. We drive you around. We may feed you. We may give you beverage. And you don't have to worry about anything. $25 to get on the bus.
No bathroom.
No bathroom. Yeah, Monica will figure it out. But that's new this year. We have 30 seats on the bus. The seats cost $50 a person. The club is subsidizing half of that. So your seat on the bus is only going to be $25. If I don't fill the 30 seats, I need to buy them myself. Yeah, the bus will pick up at Mike's, but Monica will tell you, and it will get you there at the end. So it picks you up at Mike's, and then it takes you back to Mike's, and it's all just a fun party. So this is new. If it flops, we learn, right? But it ain't gonna flop. So that's the Hive Hop, and then it's Monica time, right? Summer's Monica time. So we're gonna have the picnic in July instead of the monthly meeting. So June we'll have the monthly meeting here, and July's the picnic. You'll hear more about it. Show up. Next. Okay, this is my one slide. You're gonna get tired of seeing this. Keeping bees alive. Informative inspections, and every time you go look at your bees and your hives, you're looking at 4 things. You're looking at bees, you're looking at brood, you're looking at the food, and you're looking at disease. Right? I wrote a cool article in the newsletter about a hive at Winterthur that I keep bees in northern Delaware about disease, about sac brood. It's worth the read, honestly. And there's a couple take-home points in that. I'm diverting a little bit from this, but sac brood is common. I think sac brood's around in the spring. If you look carefully at your hives, everybody, I think, will see a cell or two of sac brood. Every time Jeff comes out to my hive, he says, "Oh, that's sac brood," or "That's sac brood." And sac brood affects the pre-pupae larvae, or pupae, whatever you want to call it. But right before they cap it, basically the pupae standing up, and basically it forms a sac around it, and the tip of instead of the head, it basically forms a point. And you basically have something that looks like a sac, and it's not capped. And it's a virus. And again, if you look around your hive, if you look on your frames and look at sort of stuff that isn't uncapped, you'll see a cell or two. It's a virus. It can be and it's relatively not a big deal for most hives, and there's really not much you can do about it. It can be vertically transmitted from queen to brood, and it can also be horizontally transmitted from bee to bee. Some people think if you have a bad case, you should requeen because maybe the queen's infected and maybe it's coming vertically through that way. Beyond that, there's not much you can do. The hive I have was the most significant case of sac brood that I've ever seen. I actually thought it was European foul brood at first because I was a little confused because your larvae diseases are basically chalk brood, European foul brood, and sac brood. So if you see sick larvae, you basically have one of those 3 things. And I thought it was European foul brood just because I thought this is affecting too much of the hive. Too many. It basically was affecting every frame in the hive. I was going somewhere with this. You could tell when I extend my 10 minutes, I get lost. But I talked to Jeff Eckel, who's our inspector. Even though he didn't come out and see this because it was in Delaware, but I called him and he said he's seen in his years of inspection, he's seen 2 or 3 cases of basically what he called systemic sac brood, where it basically affected basically all the frames in the hive. So it was interesting, right? Now I'm like, and then I felt bad because the inspector came out, the Delaware inspector came out, and she said, "Well, what's the mite count on this hive?" And I'm like, because it's a sick hive. Anytime you see a sick hive, everyone should do a mite count. I usually don't start doing mite counts until June or July. I was like, I don't have to worry about mites. I do my 3 treatments a year. I dribble in December. My mite counts are really low right now. I don't need to worry about it until June or July. Let me try to figure out how to make some honey first. And once I make some honey, then I'll pay attention to mites. Well, that usually works. But if you have a sick hive, you should do a mite count, right? And I'm telling her, oh, my mite counts are 0 or 1. I'm cool, And we did a mite wash on the hive, and it was 8. Related or unrelated, I don't know, right? I don't know if those bees were sick and got susceptible to sac brood because it wasn't a well colony, or whether or not those bees, I don't think she didn't think that Varroa transmitted or had anything to do with sac brood, but who knows? But so what did I do? I ended up treating for a Varroa, right? Because my Varroa count was 8, which is 2 to 3% in May. So obviously, anytime your Varroa count is higher than 2%, you probably should do something about it. So I put formic on that hive, but my question I have to answer is that enough, right? So I should requeen the hive, but the hive is so sick. Should I euthanize the hive? Should I kill that hive because of the drift and about the horizontal transmission? You know what I mean? Like, if one of us was really sick today, right? Not that we're euthanizing anybody. I'm not suggesting that anyone's going to be euthanized today, but don't be here, right? If you're really sick, you shouldn't be here. So this is one hive in an apiary of 10 hives, right? And I'm like, should this hive be here? And it gets you thinking, right? Like, what's the impact? I know the impact on this hive, but what's the impact on all the other hives? And then I go to that site. I know I'm over my 10 minutes, Donna, but I'm going to keep going a little bit. I go to this site, and it's like none of the hives are producing, right? So all this site, this isn't really a strong site for production. And I go 2 miles up the road, and this site is kicking butt, right? Like this site, not kicking butt. No one's hives are kicking butt this year because we can't stop the rain and the crazy weather for honey production, right? But this site looks decent. And this site, all 10 hives are struggling. And I'm thinking, like, is it forage? Probably not. It's probably disease. We don't think about that. We always think, well, maybe it's a queen issue, right? Maybe, well, it's unlikely that all 10 hives have queen issues. And I think, well, maybe it's forage. Maybe for some reason this area just doesn't have the right plants in it. But you always have to think disease, right? And I'm thinking to myself, even though I'm going to wrap up soon, even though this hive is the only hive where I see brood is infected, right? Because this hive is vertically transmitting probably. But how much horizontal transmission from bee to bee is affecting the whole apiary? I don't know the answer to that, because I don't think there's adult manifestations of sac brood. We know the larvae manifestations of sac brood, but what does a sick bee with sac brood look like? It probably doesn't feel like going out and foraging, I'm thinking, right? So it's like sitting in the hive. I don't feel well. I'm not going out and foraging. So I'm like, what do I do? Anyway, I think if it doesn't, I think if I go back this week with my weekly inspection and that apiary is still struggling, I may take that hive out of there or get rid of it just because of whatever. Anyway, the sick larvae won't develop. That'll die. It'll shrivel up and die, and the bee that's in there will die. The question is the adult bees that are feeding that larvae or that are in the hive, they're probably infected too, I think. I'm thinking that they're just tired or they're just feel viral. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what the adult manifestation of sac brood is, but I'll let you know. I truly believe in being transparent, and I will share all the screw ups I do this year. So anyway, so let's go through 4 questions. Match hive size to colony size. A lot of bees swarm this year, right? Unfortunately, despite your swarm management, bees swarm. That's what they want to do. If you have 2 deeps and 2 mediums and your hive swarm, you don't need 2 deeps and 2 mediums. The only thing you're going to get with 2 deeps and 2 mediums is a hive beetle problem, right? Because you have all this food in there and not enough bees. Bring it down. Recognize queenless colonies early, right? So obviously, if you go into your hive and you don't see eggs and you don't see young larvae, it likely swarmed, right? Likely swarm this time of year. You have to be patient. Don't run out and put a queen in there, right? It takes time before that swarm cell emerges, that queen goes out and mates and comes back and lay. Generally, if there's cap brood still in the hive, you're probably still okay. If there's no cap brood in the hive, wait a week or put a frame of, if you have another hive that has some brood in it, put a frame of brood in it. And then if it's still 1 week after that, and you don't see any evidence of a queen, then think about how you're going to requeen or get something in there to prevent laying workers, okay? But don't panic. Not 85% of the time, that hive will requeen itself, right? It will have a laying queen in there. There's a point where you gotta say, I've waited too long and now I need to do something, but 85% of the time, it will requeen itself. If you're not sure what to do and you have another hive that's doing okay and has brood in it, the best thing to do is just take a frame of brood and move it into the hive that doesn't have a queen in it. It's just going to keep the young population going, and also be diagnostic, right? So if you add a frame of brood that has young larvae on it to that queenless hive, and they don't pull out queen cells, there's a queen in there somewhere, right? If they start pulling out queen cells, then you know, right? Then you know, like, okay, that hive's queenless, you know? So that's a simple thing that you can do. You can go home today, right? If you're not sure, take a frame of young larvae, throw it in what's queenless, and 85% of the time it's going to be okay. Feed when needed. No one should be feeding now, honestly. You know, if your bees can't forage now, we're in trouble, right? Because it's May. You know, so if you have started if you started a package or started a new or nuke and you've been feeding it like in April, please stop. You don't need to do it right now. They can forage on their own. Uh, now those bees engorge themselves before they leave, right? So I think you could help them by feeding them to build wax, because wax is very intensive as far as how much nectar they need to make wax. But remember, before that colony swarms, they do two things, right? They stop feeding the queen, right? Because the queen's got to fly with the swarm, right? So they'll stop feeding that queen and make that queen light, put that queen on a diet so she don't, end up in front of the hive. She can fly, and then all the bees that leave engorge themselves, feed, so when they end up in the tree, they have enough food to survive, and then when they go back into their new cavity, they have enough energy to make wax, right? They have enough food to make wax. But it doesn't hurt to feed a swarm, especially if it's like this, right? Um, and do you have a mite washer? I don't know. I have a mite washer. Unfortunately, the club is out of mite washers right now. But if you don't have a mite washer and you're a beekeeper, you probably should get a mite washer, honestly. Um, I am sorry, I'm over my 10 minutes. Thank you all for coming, and we'll pass the meeting on to Donna and Lynn.
I am overwhelmed by everyone's contribution for breakfast and food and the raffle, because this is a beautiful thing. Our sweet Patrick, it was ill today, so he couldn't make it, and they were like stepping on, and so Dunkin' Donuts, rock on. But thank you everyone for coming. Also, I was going around trying to get everyone signed in because we didn't have a table to do all that, and I promise I will get everyone a raffle ticket, because there are some beautiful prizes up here. And so I want to talk about the hive hop, and we're going to do it. And we got a bus. We got a party bus.
I said, why not?
Thank you. So it's not going to be a fail. And if it is, we're going to keep doing it until it's not a fail. So we do, it does not have, I couldn't get the deluxe one because it was sold out, but it's Saturday, June 1st, and it's going to start at 8. So that bus is leaving at 8:30. So don't come at 8:31 and think you're going to be on the bus, even if you bought your ticket, because it is a well-oiled machine, this Craft Coaches. And we are going to start at, thank you, Mark. Well, I have it all written down. So where are we going to go? Oh, here it is. Mike Emerson, is he here? Because he is adorable. He's just been so very helpful to me, and he's going to start. We're going to park our cars at Mike Emerson's. All this is going to be on the website. You're going to leave your car there, hop on that party bus, and we are going to the first stop, and that is Gene Miller. Okay, Gene Miller, then Lynn Arnold, then Tom McKinney, then Mark Metters, My House, Joe Babicki, if I hope I said it right, and then end up back at Mike Emerson's. It's $25. Whoop-de-doo for a bus ride all day, and like-minded people and having fun, right? So $25 gets you that bus ride and a dinner at the end of it at Mike's house. Okay, so such a deal. That's $10. Is it 25 and then 10? 25 and then 10. And our emails kind of went sideways. Now, I don't want to, this is not a threat, but I belong to a garden club, and they're like, well, if you don't fill that bus, we're on it. I'm like, well, let me get 5 people.
You can drive yourself too, right?
Yeah, and it's
so
free.
If you don't want to spend all day on the hive hop, you could say, I'm only going to 2 spots and drive yourself and do it for free.
Right. But those times are limited because we did not want to keep the beekeeper, ball and chained to their apiary all day. There is a window for each location. So let's be respectful of that so that they're not sitting there all day, because I know we have had that problem in the past. What else? So dinner at the end, you can do it on your own. And then, yeah, any questions? Yes. Who should attend? Everyone should attend that can Okay, really new beekeepers that have no idea how to set up a hive or where or that they can really learn a lot because they're going to see 7 different locations of how people do it. So I have 3. Mark, I don't know. Everyone has a different amount of. You have 4. So
Lynn has a lot.
okay, okay. So, and you live in Wynwood, so this is going to be exciting to see someone that's closer to the city moving out towards Coatesville. And so who can attend? Everybody and anyone. That's what the club is for. Again, first come, first serve for that bus because it's limited. And that's all I got to say about that, I think. Right?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, and if you know Mike, I'm sure the party's going to be awesome at the end. So Mike
Yeah.
Emerson's the host of the party. So
Yep.
if you don't want to do the high pop, just come to the party.
Yes. You're going to the party. So it's $10, like what? You can't get a meal at McDonald's for that.
$10.
So, and then in the summer, we did land the East Goshen Park, if anybody knows where that is, and it's a beautiful facility. They have bocce ball, we have a pavilion. There's pickleball, tennis. Like bring the kids. It's going to be very kid friendly, grandkids, kids, whatever. So that is Saturday, July 13th.
Second Saturday of July.
Yeah. Yes, Carla.
What time is the party at the end of the high pop?
That would start at 5 because we're going to get to his location at 4. And he wanted an hour and a half to talk about his apiary, but I'm going to tell him that we might be burnt out. So, or not. What a cool guy. So he'll float with it. I think that's all I got.
So I just want to talk briefly about you can stand there, George.
I'm not moving today. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about community engagement, volunteerism. We've been doing a lot of speaking opportunities. That's Lauren and I at the Fairville Fun Fair, which was like a 4 or 5 hour event. We brought up the observation hive and the education frames and the canopy. It was pretty cool. So we've got a Furness Library down in Media, Wallingford. That starts on next Saturday. We've got the Downingtown Library wants to do a beekeeping series for adults. We've done events at Malvern Library, at historic Sugartown, 8 events throughout the year, just bee talks and that sort of thing. Last Sunday and 3 Sundays ago, we had 37 Girl Scouts and 47 Girl Scouts in for a bee, not just a bee talk, but we did a bee talk and then we did 3 stations. And Monica was involved, Damon was involved, Carla was there, Damon's son Declan was there, and the 3 stations were, one was candle making, just basically rolling a foundation with a wick in it, and they got to make a candle. And then at Monica and Carla's station, they got to know a little bit about pollination and plants, and they planted some oregano and hyssop seeds and got to take that home. And then they got to go over and get up close and personal to the observation hive. So pretty cool events that we've, and then coming up, we've got the West Vincent Elementary School. That's like 300 kids, 20 minutes at a time, broken up into 20-minute slots. And that'll go from 8:30 until 2:30. We've also got the Sugartown Elementary School on 2 different days in June. The Helicopter Museum Family Fun Day is coming up, and the country fairs at potentially Unionville or at Unionville, and then potentially at the Goshen County Fair. So lots of stuff coming up. Thanks. If you want to sign up for one of these events, you can simply go over to our website. If you click on member menu, at the bottom of member menu is volunteering. Click on that. One more click on the mouse there. Yes, thank you. And then the list of volunteer opportunities will pop up. And yeah, thank you, Vanna. And you'll see how many spots are left. And if it's something you really want to go to and there's no spots available, click on it and it'll tell you who's running that event. It's probably Damon or myself. And we may be able to say, oh yeah, come on in and join us at that event.
You probably won't be the only person there, right? There'll be somebody else.
And usually there's at least 2 people.
You don't really.
Yeah.
Just coming to help.
Yeah, and talking to people. You know, some of them are presentations, you know, the formal hour-long or 2-hour-long presentation, but it's really not a presentation. It's a conversation. You know, why are you here? What do you want to know? And so you make it interactive, and you take those questions as they at least I do. The other ones, like at some of these fairs, you're basically at the pop-up tent, and people are coming by, and you're talking to them, and they're asking well, I got stung by a bee. Did it leave a stinger? No. Well, it probably wasn't a honeybee. It was probably a hornet. You know, just little stupid. Don't pinch the stinger and pull it out. Scrape it off, or you inject the poison. You know, you just all sorts of different kinds of conversations that you have at these events, and that ends my talk.
It's good for all of us that the public likes beekeepers, right? The public likes beekeepers. We know that, right? All of a sudden, you say you're a beekeeper, your coolness like goes up to here, right? Like, you're cool. You're a beekeeper, you know. But you know, sometimes people don't think beekeepers are cool, right? You know, when your hive swarms and ends up in somebody's yard in their house, you're a little less cool, right?
The latest thing has been there at the Boy Scout thing. That one scout leader said, "I have a problem with you beekeepers." I'm like, "Bring it on, baby." He said, "Natural. What is it, native?" And I'm like, "Well, where are you from?" You know, right? It wasn't complaining about them. I was like, "Oh, you know." So that's the easy.
5% of the population is going to be unhappy no matter what you do.
Sure.
As president of this organization, you learn that real quick, right? It's a 600-member organization. 5% is 30, right? So you understand. If you don't understand, come with me for a week, and I'll help you understand. But the goodwill that you do, that we do, when we show up at CCBA and Beekeepers, and all these events helps all of us, right? It helps every single one of us as beekeepers. The other thing is, if you're selling honey, it helps you, right? When people think like, oh, I like beekeepers, I like honey, and some of these events you can sell honey at too. So, you know, you'll contact Mark. If you have a label and you have honey and you want to sell some honey, some of these events you're able to do it. If you're like, whatever, but just to put that out there.
So usually at this time, we usually introduce new members. Is anybody here a new member? And you just started beekeeping this year? Just got your bees? Awesome. Well, welcome. Did you get a package, or did you get a nuke? You got a nuke? Awesome. All right. Where are you located? Oxford, PA. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so I contacted Judith Miller from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture and requested that she would come to our meeting, but she said she didn't have time. She couldn't find anybody that was going to come. So she sent me the documentation that you need to go to for the requirements. And we're going to post that on our website. But in the meantime, I thought we could do like an investigative thing if anybody had any questions for her, instead of like giving out her number and then everyone call. Because she said if you have any questions, you can feel free to call me. So instead, perhaps we could all come up with questions for her, because I've read everything from, well, if you're a solo farm or from your house, you're selling honey from your house, you don't really need to have a license. You can just, you know, process the honey, although the requirements have to be still fulfilled according to the documentation. And I don't want to give anybody the wrong information. God forbid I should do that. I've heard everything from, well, as long as you have gates up in your kitchen and your animals can't get to the kitchen, then you can process in your kitchen. But the other thing that I read was, if you are extracting in a different location and you're moving the honey to your kitchen, that's a no-no, because you're bringing it through where the animals work. So there's a lot to learn. I used to have a honey room, but my son moved in and it's gone. So I had to figure out what to do now. Yes. And I'm wondering if there's a way that you could extract and process and box it outside in a tent, with a plastic floor or whatever, rubber floor. But anyway, these are questions that I have.
So
Very important.
we're still trying to get her to come and talk, right?
Yes.
We're thinking if we can't get her, maybe we'll reach out to some members that have been through the process and have them talk to those of us who haven't been through the process.
Yeah. And the other thought I had was if you don't, which I know, if you don't have an area to do this sufficiently, perhaps a VFW or a church kitchen or, I don't know, a business that's closed, like, closed for the day, you could borrow their kitchen. I don't know. You could sublet it or something like that, but just some ideas. But if you have any questions, we need to get our questions together to ask Judith.
I think labels, you have to put it on where it's from.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, this is one of the other topics. People have been reaching out and giving topics they want to hear about, and we're in the process of looking into who to speak to
Yeah.
to get this information.
Yeah, for labeling.
And this is only relevant if you plan on selling your, just so people know, just if you plan on selling it, right? Just plan on putting in some bottles and giving your family and friends, probably don't need to worry about it. But if you're thinking about, even if you're thinking about selling your honey on your own property, you should be aware of the standards that exist for proper labeling and extraction and stuff like
Oh,
that, just to
definitely.
protect yourself, right?
Yeah.
You mean you shouldn't lick your fingers and
No,
then
yeah.
And records-
Record keeping
Right.
as well with, batch numbers, lot numbers, just in case something would happen, someone gets sick and they need to know where it came from and, exactly which batch it was. So very important. Yeah.
the document that Lynn mentioned is actually already on the website. If you go to, I think it's member resource or resources, document library documents, then there's a best practices folder, and then you'll find selling honey document. And that's the one that you're.
We are working on cleaning up the website, but if you have like an extra hour or something you're bored, go and play around. I mean, there's a lot of nice stuff, very useful stuff on the website. And if you're really bored, you go on the CCBA Education YouTube channel, and you can watch hours and hours and hours of stuff that CCBA produced on there. So another educational source for people. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And does CCBA provide a place to extract and bottle? Do we have that
We don't.
capability?
We don't.
Maybe someday
We talked
could do-
about that,
Uh-huh.
about having a facility or creating a facility or renting a facility that people can bring to one day to do it, but we kind of haven't been able to do that. I like the party bus.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too.
What if
Yeah.
we put the extractor on the party bus?
Okay, well, thank you. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Lynn.
Okay.
So before I talk about this situation, I'm going to preface this with, I got a call from a client from my profession who said there's a swarm in Fallcraft School. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. I've never caught a swarm before. So I went down, I caught the swarm. Mark talked me through off the ledge several times while I was catching the swarm. I found the queen. She was in my box. I did not cage her. I continued to collect the swarm, cut half the tree down. I mean, eventually I got this thing home, collected the 25 bees that got out in my car, put the hive, put it in a swarm box. And Mark said, don't worry if you don't see the queen for a couple days. So I didn't worry. And every time I went in my hive, I saw eggs. So hence, I'm back. My swarm is in the box. I see eggs. Everything's good, right? We go. All right. So no queen, no big deal. I see eggs. Not the case. We can go through these fast. So Luckily for Yasmin, do you guys know Yasmin? I give Yasmin credit because her and I have been partner up, and she doesn't have hives because she lives in a townhouse. So she's been helping me with mine. And she's like, Donna, how do you know you don't have a laying worker? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never really had that situation. I don't really know. So we started, I can't see eggs. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot see eggs that well unless I use something like a light or a magnifying glass. When we started looking at them closely, we noticed there were eggs in multiple cells. And she's like, that's a telltale sign, especially when it's happening a lot. Maybe randomly once, that's okay. So I started doing some research, and I thought this would be a great presentation. I don't know who's bad at laying worker. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys for some advice as I go through this. So I did some research and learned even more by putting this together. Yeah, what did I say? Sorry, multiple eggs in a cell. Thank you, Howard. The eggs are also not centered. So I've got so basically, these are all the things that can happen. And then I've got a picture and an example for each one. So if we go through these. There we go. Did I even write it the wrong way? Wow. All right. So there we go. Oh, you can't even see it. On my computer, you can see this.
You can't see it.
That's exactly what I can see. When I go in my hive, this is what I see. Everything looks good. So these are actually pictures from my hive. And there are some pictures of multiple eggs. But if you go to the next one, I downloaded this from the internet. That one you can see very well. And I gave them photo credit there, but you probably can't read it. But you can see there's like 3, maybe 4 cells or eggs in a cell. Let's go to the next one. All right. The next thing was eggs not centered. If you Google search eggs not centered, you get this. So I went, okay, eggs not centered in a hive, and then I got a little bit better. Here we go. So you'll see that the eggs are off to the center of the cell. The other object to the side. Oh. What was the other problem? Now, these are from my hive. I watched the YouTube on this, and the girl's going through her hive, and she's like, do you see the comb? Do you see how it's raised? And the picture she showed looked like the one to the left, which is mine. And I'm like, no, I don't see the cells raised. So I took my frame and I turned it so that I could show everybody. That's just worker cells. They're putting drones in worker cells, and they have to build them out differently than the worker cells. So I tried to make it very obvious. So when you look at your frames, if you turn it sideways, you can actually really see. Why is that different than just regular drone cells? Because it's in the middle of the frame. Usually it's down low, right? This is right smack in the middle of my worker comb, messing up my frame.
And the worker cells are smaller than the drone cells, so they need to build up for that drone larvae to develop instead of usual. That's why
one of the people I listened to on a podcast, thank you. She said that she takes everything that they do this to and she destroys it. She totally scrapes it out and gets rid of it. I listened to another person. He said, once you correct the situation, they'll rebuild everything. I don't know which person's right. Does anybody have any? They'll just rebuild it, or both of them? They'll fix it. Okay. And what's our next problem? Now, I can't really tell. That's the best picture I could find. This is not my picture. I didn't have this problem, but apparently they put the eggs on top of the pollen. That's not good. No, that's not good. But I would imagine some of these stages happen as the problem gets worse and worse and you don't identify it. So I think I caught mine. I mean, mine was a swarm. It's only 3 weeks old. So apparently you're not really, I don't understand how I had a laying worker within 3 weeks. They're supposed to be queenless for 3 weeks. So a lot of it doesn't make sense to me, but I'm guessing this is what I have. What's our next problem? Eggs and larvae placed in the same cell. I think this is a picture from mine. Again, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I thought there was a picture of larvae. Like this might be the start of larvae here and an egg there. It was really hard. And I also had a hard time researching this one and trying to find a picture. But apparently they will place them both in the same cell. Just some things to look for if you can see. So why did it happen? Well, there was no queen for around 3 weeks, and there's no brood. So apparently without the smell of a queen and without the smell of brood, you will get a laying worker situation. Can it be reversed? Okay, so I went to YouTube, I went to books, and I went to just internet searches. And I came up with 3 different ways you can take care of this. 1, shake the bees out 100 feet away, let them figure it out. Combine it with a queen right hive or introduce a new queen. Obviously not right away. So I go through all 3 of these. Can we go to the next slide? All right, shake the bees out. There's a lot of talk about whether a laying worker can fly or not fly. And if you look into it a little bit, one guy actually explains this, which I will go into. So a laying worker is a nurse bee. Can we go to the next slide? Apparently, it's not about whether she can fly. It's about whether or not she's ever navigated outside the hive. Can she find her way? So I'll come back to this. So the first situation is to combine it with a queen right hive. First, introduce brood. Here's a question for you guys. How many days should you let that happen before you combine it? And how many frames? So I put a frame in. Should I wait, put another frame in, wait, put another frame in? You can also weaken your hive that you're pulling it from. Place newspaper on top of the hive. I don't know where you find newspaper anymore. Does anybody have any feedback on that? Huh? At the post office. Again, I always call Mark when I have a problem. Mark, can I use tissue paper? How many layers of tissue paper? About 4. He's like, that's good. And then he said, you can also use printer paper. So basically you've got your queen right hive. You're going to put your layer of paper over it. You're going to put your hive on top of it after you have put a frame of brood in to let them start smelling the brood again. The bees will acclimate themselves while chewing through the paper. The laying worker hive will smell the brood and the queen and should reverse the layer worker back to normal. My question, is that really what happens, or should she just age out and become a forager? Does anybody know?
It's rarely just one.
Correct. There's multiple. Yeah, there's multiple. So
Just make a comment. If you want to prevent this happening, you take a frame of eggs,
right.
a litter hot, and throw it in there immediately. Okay, if there's no queens, we'll make a queen cell.
Well, Chris, that's a hindsight. Like now I know to do that.
Throw frame of eggs in there. And if you come back 3 days later, you've got queen cells, and there wasn't a queen.
Right.
And if there is a queen, you're just going to make brood.
Right.
So you basically simply divide by 2. Then you have to worry about this, not getting a fruit break from the row. If you have cap cells. Okay. So that's the only downfall to that I see.
Yeah. Option 2, introduce a new queen. Everything you read, do not put the queen in immediately. Order a new queen, and when the queen arrives, relocate. So this is what I read in a book. Relocate the laying worker hive 100 yards away. Literally take that hive, except for the bottom board. Take it 100 feet away and shake them all out. Yes, all of them. The guy would ferociously get rid of them, use a brush, whatever you've got to do, get every single bee off that and put it into an empty box. Once you've got that, you can, and keep that away, carry that back and put all the frames back into the original hive and introduce a queen in a cage and let her get acclimated. Has anybody ever done this? Because I'm going to have to figure something out. Right now, I just threw a frame of brood in and I'm just buying some time. And then going back to, they're supposed to smell that and it's supposed to reverse their ovaries. That's what I read. I don't know. I'm asking people who are more experienced than me. A laying worker, if you introduce brood, I don't know how much time, but eventually it will reverse the laying worker's ovaries.
Curing a laying worker colony is extremely difficult. Accept that up front.
You're okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And the question of how soon you're going to have a laying worker after the loss of a queen or a poor queen. Again, it can vary so much. Uh, in my experience, it doesn't happen as soon as a lot of people believe. If they, but it depends on the colony.
Bro, did you step one way or the
Oh,
other?
I'm sorry. And one can only try. You know, if you want to go that route. Having more colonies, I always look at it from a time cost benefit basis. And in general, in my situation, it's easier not to try to cure the problem.
Do you just dump them out then? Shake them out? Yeah.
And they'll fly out, they'll scatter, they'll go back to various colonies. The ones, I think if the laying workers in the colony, if they get back into a queen-like colony, strong colony, they really don't have a chance in taking over that established colony. So they just scatter. And then, for me, it's easier to simply make a split to replace them. The splits are so easy and almost foolproof.
Right. So that's what I might do is I might dump them out. Getting back to the first thing, can she fly? Because everybody's saying if that laying worker gets back in, they will kill that queen, which is it's different than what he's saying. So I don't know if I want to take the chance, but this is what somebody says. If you can go to the next slide. And this I got from the Beekeeping for Dummies. A laying worker is a nurse bee. Most of the forager bees will find their way back to the hive, but the young nurse bees, the ones that have been laying eggs, have never ventured outside the hive before. They will be lost in the grass where you deposited them and will never find their way back to the hive. They're goners. Anyway, that's my experience. I just kind of wanted to introduce it. I don't know. I had never experienced this before, and this was kind of like, this is a bummer. So I've got to figure out how to deal with this.
And why it seemed early, 3 weeks for a swarm, but you have to remember is that it had no brood for 3 weeks, right? So you caught that swarm, you put the swarm in the box.
No, I put brood in there.
You put brood in
I
there.
did, yeah. I did. I can't figure it out. It doesn't.
Sometimes it's good to take a swarm and throw a frame of brood into your swarm. It keeps the swarm from taking off. It also prevents this laying worker situation if the queen doesn't come back.
I thought I did everything I was supposed to do, and I still got the situation.
Just
so.
an idea.
Did you talk about mini drones? That's how another way you can tell because you see little tiny drones.
Oh, because they're in the worker cells.
The worker cells.
Dude, I can't see.
No, you can see.
I see these, and I just try to get that. Like, yeah, I got to become more present in the moment and take time to really observe things. That's why Yasmin's great. Yasmin's just like, oh, look at this, and I'm like, wow, you're amazing to beekeep with because you're making me see things I don't normally see.
There's nothing greater than dumping those bees out in the yard. I love dumping bees out in the yard, but you can actually make use of the foragers, right? So you could take another. So I'm thinking a bunch of foragers are going to try to come back to that location. So what I try to do is take a split and put that split there. And when the split's there and doesn't have, and the split is all of her foragers are going to go back to their old place and put the split there, and then the foragers from the shakeout are going to come in and fill that up and feed that split right away, and you'll get a good head start. And hopefully there won't be like, I heard somebody say that the laying workers don't fly or they can't navigate back, so you don't have to worry about the laying workers coming in. You can just have all those foragers coming in, and then there's a queen in there in that split. And there's all those, and she's going to get fed and really build up.
Where's the split coming from?
I pull it from another one.
I'm struggling just to get my hives. I had 6 hives going into winter, and I came out with 2, and then they were reduced down to nukes. I mean, I'm struggling with population, so I can't really make a split.
Split right now.
So, and that's why, like, the thought of like having to throw out a hive and get rid of it is a little bit depressing. So that's why I was hoping people had some feedback for me. But yeah, I can't make a split, unfortunately. I would combining is all I'm doing. But
hi, I'm Donna Bushong, and I've been keeping bees for about 6 years now. I came to beekeeping late. I was almost 60 years old when I started. So I did my regular class, started doing Langstroth boxes, and thought, wow, these things are really heavy. And so I was doing some reading and came across a book called Keeping Bees with a Smile. And this is about horizontal hives.
mostly from Northern Europe. And but the idea was that instead of having boxes that you stacked on top, that you keep boxes this way. And these boxes were really pretty insulated, which I did to start with. And we'll go through some of the different kinds of horizontal hives because it means different things to different people. So my first hives were these double deep Lazutin style hives, and that's from this book. You have your Layens hives, which have different size frames. So you need a different kind of extractor if you're going to use that. And then next, those Lazutin hives use 2 double frames. It was important to me when I was going to do horizontal hives that I could use products that were common and I could use my extractor, which I already had. So in my double deep hives, the ones that I came out of here, I just take 2 deep frames and I cut the ears off of the bottom one. And then I have holes in my frames or in my foundation, and these get zip tied together. So they're in the box like this all season. When it comes time to extract, I take the zip ties off and I extract them in my extractor just like I normally would, and then I put them back. So, but that's pretty heavy when you have a double frame that is full of honey. So next. So other types of hives are the Kenyan top barred. Those, the drawback I see for this is you have to destroy the comb if you want to get the honey out, or have just comb honey. And so for me, that wasn't very useful. What I've gone to now are these long Langstroths. So it's the size of a Langstroth, box, except that it's extended. Mine currently, these are made out of 2x material, so 2x12s, 2x4s. The top is insulated, and you have all your cover boards. So we can go next. You said you made those? I did. Other kinds of hives that you can get long Langstroths with all kinds of things built in these days. You can get them with flow hives. You can get them with a super. I'm not sure why, because now you're lifting boxes again, so you kind of defeated the purpose.
But it's got nice handles.
But it does have nice handles. Yeah, these are not ones that I have, so these are ones I took off the internet. Okay, so next. So going back to this is how I started, and these are the 2 horizontal hives that I started with. So these use the double deep frames. They'll hold up to 30 frames. These boxes, when we built them, they're, it's inside. My husband is such a sweetheart. I said, I need it to hold this size frame. I need the wood box, but it has to have 2 inches of foam insulation, and then it has to have the outside. So go. And so that's kind of what he came up with. There's some basic directions in this book, but that's where we started. But again, those are pretty heavy, even now. So next. So the one useful thing about this book, though, is if you're going into horizontal hives, it has great explanations on how to do frame placement, because that's where people get mixed up. So in the winter time, my hive goes down to 8 or 10 frames, just like you would have a single super. Just depends on the strength of it. And so I consolidate them down, and you have a follower board or a divider board, and that's how they go through winter. And then in the spring, you want to start opening them up, and so you want to get more new frames in, so they're making comb on that, and you want to get the honey frames all on one end. So that's where this book really is useful if you're thinking about doing horizontal hives. And so next. What I've gone to, I still have the 2 deep hive boxes, but I'm going to be transitioning all to just the long Langstroths. What I used for we made 3 long Langs last year, and Frederick Dunn, you guys may have heard of him, he's not, a YouTuber, has great plans on the internet for this horizontal hive. And it's the plans made by building it out of 2x material. So they're nice thick boxes. These are not for commercial beekeepers, and they're not for moving around. But they're certainly good for hobbyist beekeepers. And I've got a copy of those plans if somebody wanted to look at them. So this was just you know, an overview of what they look like. So they look a lot like coffins. So, you know, you have your big long box. This is a 2x12. His directions have a spacer bottom, a 2x4 at the bottom to have space below the frames. His idea is that's a lot like a slatted board. It gives the bee, or slatted bottom board. So it gives the bee space under there. And then you have, these are not permanent fixtures. These are just your divider boards. And then you have inner covers along here. So if my hive is just located here, I only have to open up that side. I've got extra space at the bottom. That little plug there is in one of the inner cover boards, and that allows me to fit a round feeder on top of it in the wintertime or place a package of fondant. I can do that without ever opening up the bees and disturbing them at all. So go ahead from there. So that's, again, the feeder. So I can feed, you know, sugar or the syrup. Next. I like having a queen excluder. I like not, you know, knowing that my queen is not going to get into my honey frames. You can buy queen excluder frames off of Amazon. Because I have the extra space below, I had to put this little shim on to make sure my queen excluder goes there. So I will do my 8 to 10 frames, put my queen excluder there. So it's just like doing a single brood box. And then I'll have a couple of frames of honey that I don't bother with. And then I just put my honey frames on from there. And then you have divider. This is a picture of just showing the divider board here that gets moved, and then the queen excluder. So go on. This is just details from that, you know, how you have your hive, your lid, so it won't fall on you and such. It's a well-made box and by these plants. And so next. So this is a picture of the end of one of mine. The one thing that I thought this box didn't have, and again, my husband came through for me, was I have this 2x4 in the bottom. I really like a screen bottom board for Varroa, you know, and just knowing the health of your hive by being able to look. So this has a 2-inch bottom board. That's just the solid bottom. And I said, I've got this 2-inch or 4-inch shim. I said, can you build me a door on the end, and we'll put a screen bottom board or screen just above the bottom. We'll give it like a 1/2 inch, and then have a space where I can open this up and pull out a whiteboard. And this is just that commercial kitchen wall board, so it's real flexible and you can hose it off. So he went to work and he got it done. So that was one addition we did to these plans. So we can go from there. And this is just showing kind of the pictures of how we went through. This is the opening and how he made it. So you can just kind of go through some of those. And we just have a pull cord on there to pull it out. And again, just some of the ways it was made. So the way to do that was he built this frame, and it's spaced up a 1/2 inch above the bottom. And then we covered that in the hardware cloth. So now I have a screen bottom board, and I still have about 2.5 inches below my frames. And I'm okay with that. In the brood chamber, they will build comb under there. It's mostly drone comb. You can cut that off as part of your ITM, or you can leave it. And when they're building, I've never in 5 years of using horizontals had bees that built all the way to the bottom, even though you have the space. They don't attach it to the bottom. And that way you're not pulling out, breaking open queen cells too. In the winter, they will take that brood comb under there and they will fill it with honey. And now I have 2 inches more of space for them to work up with honey stores before they get to the top of that frame. So just some of the features on here, I have 2 entrances on these. So if you're looking at this, the lid is going to come towards you. So this is kind of the front of the hive. I have two openings there. I really like these round disc openings because I can shut it off if there's robbing. I can keep ventilation. I can put it on the queen excluder if I've gotten a swarm or something. I primarily keep the hive in one side. Right now, all of my hives this spring had queen cells early. And so I split them, but I was running out of nuke boxes. So I can divide this thing off, and every one of my long lengths right now have a 5-frame nuke in that end. Oh, wow. So then I can, it makes them look pretty versatile. So up in the top, I have a smaller version of that. I don't do a lot of ventilation. I primarily just do my opening at the front. But this allows me to open it up if I've been working with them and I've caught bees when I shut the lid, they can escape. And if it's just super hot, I can open it up too. This is probably a video. We don't need to go through that. I had some videos that were just showing what some of the features were and how you work it. If we're cut short. One of the advantages to working a hive like this, and I'm an urban beekeeper. I'm in downtown Havre de Grace, Maryland. Oh, wow. So I don't have a barn and I don't have places where I can stack a lot of honey supers and honey equipment. I don't need any supers with this. I just need to be able to store my frames. And actually, if in the winter I have my hive down to 10 frames, I still have a lot of space here. So I can store frames in my hive if I need to. I can always keep my feeder in there. The way the lid is made, once you have your inner covers on there, I store, I keep all my record keeping in there. So I have like a waterproof notepad and a mechanical pencil. I can keep a hive tool in each one. So I'm only using that hive tool for that hive. Cut down on disease transmission. I have 3 of these right now, and then I still have the 2 deep ones. And then each apiary I do for the town and for myself, I have a couple of nukes, just, to have those extra supplemental hives. I was just gifted from a friend out in Ohio, an Amish man. I have 2-inch rough cut pine that my husband is going to make me 2 more of these, but in that rough cut pine to develop that propellant envelope inside is the idea. And it's truly 2 inches. It's not the 2-by material. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And then we're done with hives, but at least my husband says he is. So anyway, here are some of the pros. There's no heavy lifting, allows older beekeepers or those with disabilities to keeping bees. Last week I fractured my wrist. We're going to see how disabled you can be to keep bees in here. And that's Shayna's fault, because I was out on a hillside planting the new plants I got and slipped and fell and caught myself. So anyway, they are more convenient because really you're just lifting. You're also, you have extra space here. So you're never putting a frame outside. You're always keeping it inside the hive, so you're not dropping your queen off somewhere. I just think it makes it a lot easier. It's less disruptive to your colony. You're not taking part of their house and breaking it and setting it on the side here. You're just simply lifting up frames and then moving them back in. And depending on what style of hive you built or bought, you can feed and check on your colonies without ever opening them up and disturbing them. A lot less equipment, so I don't have to worry about the neighbors calling the town and saying we've got stuff all over. And again, you can convert it to two colonies in there for a smaller nuke. I need to get my nukes out pretty soon because I've got to start adding more honey frames. The cons of it are it's a different kind of beekeeping. You've got to learn a little bit how it works. But it's really, if you just take your regular hive and turn it on its side, you can still do a demery method with this. You can take the eggs out of one side of the queen excluder, move them to this side. and put in frames. You just kind of have to change your mind about it. The biggest con is these things are wicked heavy. So once they're in place, they're in place. You're not moving them to do pollination or something like that. But for a backyard hobbyist beekeeper, particularly someone in the urban areas, or for people who are just, can't physically do those heavy boxes, this is a really great option. The one thing I would say is if you consider horizontal hives, consider using standard equipment. If you're trying to reinvent the wheel from the get-go, it just makes it harder. I can just go and buy regular frames and I can pop them in. The only thing I'm doing, alteration I'm doing to these is cutting the ears off and doing the zip ties back and forth. If you're starting out and you don't have any equipment and you want to get lay-ins hives and get a lay-ins extractor, then that's doable. But if you've got all the Langstroth equipment already, it seems like you're making it harder on yourself if you're trying to do multiple kinds of frames and such. But anyway, I found that this is really, really a good way for me to keep bees and still make it pretty convenient. I have still had honey harvest equivalent to what I had in Langstroth boxes. So, up to 80 pounds for for a season, in one of these. So, anyway, questions? Yes.
Now we're used to thinking of birds.
Right.
How do they pass?
And they do pass. And that was one of the reasons I started with those double deeps. Was at that point was the idea was you had to have at least 2 deep brood boxes for bees to make it through winter. And then you start looking around and it's like all these people are successfully keeping bees in single brood chambers. How why do I need 2 deeps? And that's why I went through this. This was my first year overwintering in the Seagull, the long Langstroths, and it was my 4th or 5th winter for the double deeps. For the last 2 years, I've had 100% survival through winter. They've all come out. So, and I think part of that is you're still taking them back to a smaller colony for the winter and allowing them, lots of space to burst out in the spring. They do move through. And like I said, I've got that little bit of extra too. I mean, bees only move a certain amount each day. But I do put on fondant as emergency feed. Some years they eat it. This year they ate it. It was a crazy winter, but
So there's no problem with the pheromones and everything to be happy.
no, because it's still just like instead of having boxes on top of each other, I've just got them sideways and it's just frames. So I've never had problems with them, not moving through. So, yeah.
Can I ask you 2 questions?
Sure.
One about the storage. When you store, I love the idea of getting all this crap out of my garage.
Yeah.
The frames on the side that you store.
Yeah.
People wax moth problem.
I have not, but I tend to at the end of the season. What I use it mostly for is storage, so I've got everything positioned there throughout the season. I need 2 more frames, or I extract and I'm going to put these back and let them be cleaned. And then I can set them in the hive for a week or so to see if I'm going to need to put them back in the colony. For overwinter storage, I spray them with BT and I store them in hive keepers, hive totes.
Okay. So they don't go into hives over the winter.
I keep a few, but not a lot. But I've never had problems with the high
Wax
moths.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question is, because if you said one of them was 30 frames.
They all about 30 frames.
Has anybody ever experimented with just repurposing 3 deep boxes, putting them together and making some kind of horizontal hive with 3 deeps? That's what I want to try.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can try that. You're just going to cut out the walls on the side.
Right. George told me
you
it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you've got to figure out, your lid and all that.
The
stuff
lid, the bottom, yeah.
So
with that, the inner cover, is there like bed or access for them to crawl over the top.
Yeah, I have bee space under it, just like a regular inner cover in a Langstroth. So, you know, when you're making your box, you've got all these dados, and so you've got it where your frames will set, and then above that, there's bee space, and then the inner cover sits on that. I will say we were using, because these were kind of an experiment, we were pulling stuff from the attic, and we were just using 2x4s and ripping them down. That's a lot of 2x4s and inner covers. I would go at least by, you know, the 2x or just 6 inches wide, or even 4 inches wide would be better, or 6 inches wide. So you don't have so many pieces.
Your husband gave you good insulation too. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I love that when come winter time, the only thing I do to this is above those inner cover boards, I put a roll of double bubbled Reflectex, and I shut the thing up. There's no wrapping anything. There's, you know, other than having gotten them down to 8 frames, there's no winter preparation. It's really just closing them up and going.
Yeah.
So, and it's easy to vaporize through the front. That's what I do for treatments most of the time. So I just have a wooden plug that I can put in that 2-inch hole that has a hole drilled in it, and I stick my vaporizer in there. And, you know, a minute later, I'm done. So I find them easy to work with for me. So not for everybody, but any other questions? Nope. I'll leave these books and paperwork over here if anybody wants to take a look at them.
Cool.
Later. Thank you.
It's good to see you, new and old faces, and isn't it nice to have a black locusts? You realizing they're flowering now, and talking beekeeping is a little too boring. And speaking of the horizontal hive, I'm keeping the bees in horizontal hive about 7 years, and then when I get 75, even the horizontal hive is a little bit of a lay-in time, a little too heavy. So I developed the geriatric hive. Those of you, you know, so it's a geriatric hive. It's used all the Langstroth equipment you have, and I had a 2 years ago workshop at George's barn, and I think 5 or 6 people, I think they have geriatric hive. And so if you're interested in, I might have another workshop to be. And it's a horizontal hive, but then the frame is turned some length, long. But today's topic is solar candle maker. And then this is the, after the inspection, you all have those barcombs and waxes. And you gather, and then you put it into the kind of cylinder with the filter, and to put onto the candle mold and cover with the plastic or see-through or glass jars on conversion. So the idea itself is just a wax melter, but this is the Chris Sim candle maker, just a wax melter, put it in the box, and then the first one, prototype, there was George had a kind of group of inventive beekeeping related invention. So that's kind of group he had, and in one of the meetings he was talking about it. How about making a solar candle maker, or after the beekeeping and collected wax, he had an idea to make somehow making a candle, but he was struggling with the idea and so he couldn't make it. So I was sitting in his barn, and then he had the plexiglass and there's some kind of gutter, the metal, and I forgot to bring the prototype, but I had some experiment, and then you can make this kind of box. But then I thought about to make it simple. Great idea is just simple, and then what you have, and then this is, cheese ball. This is the best one. And then this is a soda bottle, or, the 2 liter or 1 liter. This is a 1 liter soda bottle, and then cut, and then just use that as an, and this is a coffee filter, and put the, anyway, the wax in there, like this, and place this in the sun. And then even in March, with this reflector, this is a Mylar sheet, and you can make a solar candle even in March. And when you put this sensor in there, it goes about the wax, beeswax started to melt about 144 or 145. It can be easily melted. Of course, the candle making I make also, it depends on the mold you have. This fancy or this, you can make those candles. And this is the, last week I worked on it. This is the scab candle. And this is the process. It might need one more bowl of wax to finish. This is not finished yet. So this probably need one more day to finish. So this is a kind of only things you have to make is this disc with accepting the soda bottle. And then this is also goes on here.
You can use the coffee filter in your smoker too.
And then this is my pipe tools of my. Also, I have this last 3 years. This is a small hive beetle. You can pick it. It's very easily small hive beetle can be. Friend of mine asks for this. It's very fragrant when you put this one in the fireplace or stove. It smells like a beeswax and the honey, and it's very sweet. So this is other things. Yeah, you can just put the any fragrance into the.
I put a mount, like cut some herbs or mount it and put it in there with the scrapings, and it scents the candle.
Yeah.
So if you want like a lavender scent candle or a mint scent candle,
everything. Garlic.
Bombs.
Yeah, it larger. You can do it quicker in time. Either you can use kitchen towels or napkins or whatever. Yeah. Oh, good question. The first just a silicone mold, or I also demonstrate how to make silicone mold, but the wick you have to put it through and keep it long. And after it melts, this is not quite in the center, but it doesn't matter when it melts. This will stay, but then you can center it with the some kind of stick, or I use a popsicle stick with a bobby pin's good, and all sorts of things you can do. And so, what else? It will take summertime. You don't even need the reflector, but then also solar oven when you make the reflecting things to make the heat into the center. It will it almost burn. I wish you can smell. So that's it. Why don't we develop as a CCBA product? Maybe women's group can make it, like a product to sell. And Diane Campbell is working on to make disc at her woodworking at Ernie's place.
Yeah, beeswax malts at 145, right? So the idea is not to overheat the wax, right? Because people think beeswax is like dark. When you look at this, when you take a beeswax, it's overly processed, honestly, and overly heated. The beeswax that doesn't get washed and doesn't get overheated is canary yellow, the color. When you start to see darker beeswax, it's because it's been overheated. So when you use this to make your candles are going to look canary yellow. It's pretty cool. And then when you smell it, you're going to smell the honey and the pollen in there because it's not washed out. Because most wax, you're kind of, you're mixing it with water and heating it, and it washes out all the amazing essence in it. Yeah, you're getting the smell of propolis in there. So if you experiment with one of these, you'll be like 4 hours. That's all it takes to make and everyone's scraping their burr comb, right? You scrape your burr comb, you throw it in there. 4 hours later, you got a candle for dinner. Simple. Seriously. No, it's true. It's really cool. Yeah, and you get that propolis. You get that. I think it smells like baking chocolate chip cookies a little bit when you burn that propolis in there. It's really, really nice smell. And like I said, you can add whatever scent you want. In the bottom of your coffee filter, put whatever other herb or scent you want in there. And the wax melts and goes through the herb and picks up the scent. So it's really beautiful, right? And then the other thing is, Hiroshi said, it doesn't cause layer. If you don't make it all in one day, say you set this thing up and you only have like a handful of wax, and you come back and it goes through and only fills up half the candle, the next day, if you leave it in there, that surface of that candle is going to remelt. And when you put the new wax in, it doesn't layer. So it just all combines into one. So you don't have a funny burning candle. So anyway.
I'm gonna put gloves on for this because no matter what I do when I handle my smoker, I get dirty. Has anybody had a problem yet with their thing breaking apart? Has anybody had this issue yet where the little feet fall off of their? They will just eventually get to the point where they bend and fall. Nobody's had this happen? You've had it happen? What did you do? You buy a new one. So here's what I did. I got a Beekeepers can. I drilled holes in it. So I cut out both sides and I drilled holes in it. And then I made this fancy mason jar lid with some screen in it, but I'm realizing now I didn't even need to do that. All I needed was this, and then I just laid that on top. And that fills the space without spending the $6 or $7. $8.75. Yeah, tuna fish can. Just got to get off the bottom and just drill holes in the sides for air. So if anybody has a problem yet with it, this is a pain in the butt. Where it's stuck. What do you guys do? What do you do? Pull hard. Well, by the way, I've got an extra tuna fish can if anybody doesn't eat tuna fish. Or I just discovered steel wool on the side. It'll actually bring it back to silver. So you've got to go there and you've got to go on the inside of the rim, and it actually will work. And I don't want to do it because I'm really making a mess right now, but it does make a huge difference if you can do it enough. But I've tried everything, like from metal brushes that you use for like prepping something for painting. And so far, the steel wool has been the best. Anyway, that's all I've got. Does anybody need a can? What's that? I try to watch. Oh, in the drill. I always hurt myself when I do that. I tried that. It didn't work for me. And then the wire. Yeah, maybe both of them.